Hello and welcome back to the SRL TCR League for season number 10 here around the most iconic touring car track in my own honest opinion. It is the Brands Hatch circuit, a circuit that dates back to the early 1900s, originally a motorbike layout on the dirt. Well, here around the Brands Hatch circuit today, we are running in the usual clockwise configuration, not how they ran it all those years ago when it was a bike circuit and just the Indy loop. Of course, we are running the full GP layout here today, and it is bound to be another spectacular evening of racing here on SRL TV. I hope you guys are having a good evening and you are just as excited for this one as I am, because I do believe that this is going to be a very, very fun evening of racing. Now then, we have just had our drop weeks applied in our championship, which means they have been shaken up just a little bit, with some drivers now proving to be wholly dominant in their classes due to drop points. And that being said, our man at the very top, Adam Delmont, has had the most amount of points taken away from him in those drop weeks, yet he still maintains a very strong and commanding championship lead in the pro class and the overall class as well. Here at the Brands Hatch circuit, we have got the biggest grid down on the track that we have seen in a number of weeks, so it is bound to be exciting. And we are closing in to the end of the 10th season of competition. We still have 4 more races, including tonight. However, as we head around the Brands Hatch GP circuit, we head across to Catalonia for the 8th round of competition next week as we enter March. We then head to Road America on March 13th for round number 9, and our delayed round at Hungaroring, which was postponed from the middle of February. Well, we will be visiting Hungaroring on March 20th to round out this championship. I can't believe that we are already this close towards the end. Well, it is all to play for our drivers, especially those that have benefited significantly in the drop rounds. Right then, for the first time this evening, let's welcome you in to the comms booth here at Joseph Wright Broadcasting and SRL TV. I hope you guys are excited for this one. Just have a look here at our timing screen. This is absolutely full as drivers all get out there to try and put their name back towards the top of their respective championship classes. 4 championship classes this season, of course, for the first time. We introduced the semi-pro championship at the start of season number 10, and I think that has been an absolutely great addition to the championship to have those 4 classes running and competing. It means everyone out there has a real possibility to try and take some podiums and wins in class. And it has been a mixture of wins in all of our classes, in fact. In our pro class, we have had 5 different drivers take the victory. Adam Delmont has 7 to his name. He is absolutely dominating the field out there. In your semi-pro field, however, you've got Daniel Downing at the top of that order, and he has 5 wins to his name. But then you do have a mixture of other drivers in there as well, taking their victories to their own name. The Pro-Ams, it's not as dominant. Only 2 wins is the most wins that anyone has taken in your Pro-Am class. Demis Titular, Luke Woodhouse, Craig Walters, Stuart Gibbons, all of them taking 2 wins apiece. Stuart Gibbons, we should point out, in that Pro-Am class was able to take overall victory in race number 2 last time out at Mugello, with taking full advantage of the inverted field inside the top 15. Your amateur field, well, last week saw Thomas Coombe and Vigard Olsen-Lear both go from 2 wins to 3 wins each. So it is going to be a very exciting evening today to see how those drivers are able to move forward. We have qualifying to go first, though, and apart from Jack Bolton at the very beginning of the season, we have not seen a repeat pole sitter. Are we going to see that today? Adam Dalmont is the fastest out there in practice at the moment. Or are we going to see a new name go to the top of the qualifying order? Well, it's anyone's guess as it stands, and as we look at it, 33 drivers sit in this session, which is astonishing. And a massive field out there. But, of course, we have lost a number of our pro drivers, notably our defending champion, Dan Mould. He backed out of an earlier race in the season. He backed out of VIR due to an injury. He tried to give it a go at Mugello. Of course, we saw him jump the start in race number 1, causing another driver to jump the start. He then jumped the start again in race number 2. He had some issues with his wrist. So he will be stepping back from the remainder of the series, which is a real shame this season. We will not see the defending champion try to claw back that championship fight. Will we see a repeat champion, though, in Adam Dalmont? It's looking likely right now, and let's have a look at why it is looking so likely at the moment that Adam Dalmont is going to take this championship. This is with drop weeks applied. It is 573 points going the way of Adam Dalmont, and he has the most points being dropped, which means he could have some really poor couple of rounds and still be able to take this championship victory. Now, don't forget, round number 10 cannot be dropped. Hungaroring, it is a tricky track. If I would say, is one of the hardest tracks to move through the field. Therefore, the inverted field is going to be extremely tricky for our pro drivers who will find their way to the front of race number 1 and find themselves to the back of the invert. Here, however, I think it's going to be a little bit easier. Of course, you've got the run down Pilgrim's Drop into Hawthorne Bend, and then you've also got the run through Clearways up towards Paddock Hill Bends, a heavy braking zone of Druids as well. There's a number of more overtaking opportunities here. Kim Borkland sits in second then, over 100 points behind Adam Dalmont, even with those drop weeks now applied. Will Lyon is in the hunt for second, though. He sits less than 20 points behind Borkland, and Arthur Thurtle jumps up from 8th in the championship to 4th in the championship with the drop weeks being applied, and he is heavy in that fight for third right now. He sits just a singular point ahead of Luciano Espinera, who at the moment is in 5th, just 1 point separating the two of them. Dan Mould, like I said, he's had to back out due to an injury. He falls down the grid to 6th position with 399 points. Logan McKinsey, he is running in 7th position right now with 387 points to his name. We then have Jack Bolton. He was very dominant at the start of the series as well, looking like he might have really taken the fight to Adam Dalmont, but he backed out after we had the round at, I'm trying to think now where we were that he backed out after of. It was, of course, going to be Long Beach that he stopped racing at. Then we had Jaden Scotton going in 9th position at the moment, 10 points further back. However, if I'm looking across correctly, Scotton is here today, so could jump past Jack Bolton in the championship. Anthony Lammer is rounding out your top 10 in your pros, and Marsden yet to get down onto the field for this season. We jump across to that new semi-pro championship then, because that semi-pro championship has been introduced. It was the separation between your pro and your pro-ams. Daniel Downing returns to the top of the championship order here, not only due to the drop weeks being applied, but Downing took the double last week at Mugello in the semi-pro class. He leads that championship with 404 points, almost 70 points clear of second place Carl Hardy. Hardy himself is in a very, very close fight. Chasing him down is Kev Aylett, the previous semi-pro championship leader heading in to Mugello. Stephen Fry himself is only a couple more points behind in 4th position. Deck Crowther sits in 5th position right now, 5 points clear of John Brown. And then it's a little bit of a hunt down to Daniel Lewis in 7th. But it's only 2 points separating himself from De Jong, and then 2 points separating De Jong from Draper in 9th. Andrew Lovesey is rounding out your top 10 in your semi-pro field. And of course, everyone in your semi-pro field has made their way to the track this season. Tom Woodcock sits in 11th, ahead of Marhan Kodeman. And Jay Cooley sits in 13th position at the back of that championship order at the moment. Let's have a little look then at our Pro-Am class. Our Pro-Am class is still being led by Demis Titcheler, those drop weeks helping him out as well as he gains an almost 40-point advantage over Jack Brown. Stuart Gibbons, however, has moved up the most positions in any of the classes to move now into 3rd place with 281 points to his name. He is not out of touch with the leaders if he can get some really strong results moving forward. Of course, what would have helped Stuart Gibbons as he took the overall race victory last week. And our drivers heading out there are taking their points based on overall position, not just their class position. We then have Fraser Geraghty sitting in 4th position. He is ahead of Gonzalo Oliveira, and it's Alan McCain who is in 6th position. JB DeJay currently sits in 7th ahead of Paul Hurley. Hurley and Craig Walters tied on 247 points. Kevin Marshall-Say is on 209 points in 10th position. And to the back of the field, we have Lucas Henschel, the last year's amateur champion, with 208 points, and then Luke Woodhouse at the back with 169. We're yet to see James Colden make his way onto the field. And then last but not least, it's the amateur field where Vigard Olsen Leah walked away with a 3rd class victory out of Mugello alongside Thomas Kuhn, but some stronger results for Olsen Leah means that he is leading the amateur championship right now. He was tied on points, of course, with Torburn Mail. Heading into the Mugello rounds, a bad weekend for Mayo meant that he lost a lot of points. Anyway, the drop weeks have not worked out in his favour either. He's down to 4th position right now, 4 points behind Ben Gibbons, who's also found his way up the championship order. Jeff Saunders currently holds on to the top 5 ahead of Scott Malcolm and Chris London. It is then down a bit of a way to Aaron Matthews and Andy Littler. Yannick Van Reenen at the back of the top 10 in class. Chesney Vandenbroek runs in 11th out of James Brown, and Nathan Hardcastle yet to get to the field this season. Right then, that is the order in the classes. The last one to have a look at here is going to be our team standings. So let's have a jump across to our team standings so we can see how they are doing. And it continues to be a very strong one for our championship leaders in Next Gen Racing. Green, of course, being led by Adam Delmont, our pro championship leader at the moment, and Jack Brown, who is doing really well in his own class. Sim Racing Forces Norway of Borkland and de Jong currently in 2nd position, but they are over 140 points back. Of course, again, the drop points do get applied to the team standings as well. SRL Rosso are the strongest of the SRL team. They are up in 3rd position, and you can see the rest of the teams over on the left-hand side there. As you can also see our drivers heading out here as qualifying gets going. So as we just have a little look at our team standings, and I'll leave that up for a moment, we will get down onto the racing track as well, which I think is going to be extremely interesting to see what some of our drivers are going to be able to do around this circuit. It is a rather interesting circuit to try and get right. There are a lot of slow corners, a lot of fast corners. It is a bit of a mixture around here, and as drivers head out on their outlaps here and prepare to get racing, they are going to be thinking, who do I need to follow? Who is going to help me out the most here? Because along the straight they're coming now, along and down Pilgrim's Drop, through Hawthorns Hill, into Hawthorn Bend, You want to have the toe along this straight, but then not get held up as you go through this right-hander of Hawthorne Bend, or this entire section, in fact, as you go through Westfield Bend into Dingle Dell and Sheen Curve as well. You might want that bit of a distant toe as you're coming through Clark Curve and up towards Brabham Straight. We'll see how they get on then. Let's go focus mode here in qualifying and see what our drivers are able to do. We are watching right now Paul Hurley, who sits in your Pro-Am field. If you're unsure of our classes, the reds will be your amateurs, the purples are your Pro-Ams, the greens are your semi-pros, and your blues are your top class, the pros. Right, across the timing line goes Paul Hurley. We ride on board here up towards turn number 1 of Paddock Hill Bend. Already smoke and gravel being kicked up into the air as we push it up towards Druids here. Get heavy onto the brakes. Try to keep it in towards the apex on the right-hand side. Throttle down again as you push to the right-hand side of the circuit, turning in to Graham Hill Bend. Along Cooper Straight here is going to be a little bit of a toe. It's ready to line it up though for Surtees. Get it out wide as you turn in, of course, cutting cross to the GP loop as we push out hard. Getting this toe here from Paul Hurley as we come up towards Pilgrim's Drop, and it is a lot steeper than you would imagine if you ever been there in real life. In through Hawthorne Hill and the right hander of Hawthorne Bend, not getting all the way to the curbing on the inside there for Hurley. It will lose him a little bit of time along Derek Minter Straight and then over that inside curve of Westfield Bend. Now pushing it down through Dingle Dell. Hopefully the slower car ahead in the 226 isn't going to get into Hurley's way, but it looks like he will there, trying his best to try and get out of the way as we come through Sheen Curve and into Sterling's. But he does look like Hurley held up just a little bit there through the end of the lap as we go through Clearways and into Clark Curve, turn number 9. That's all there is around this circuit. And we head up towards the timing line. Kim Borkland is the first across the line and puts a time good enough for pole, but he will be beaten across the line by Jaden Scotton. And we will jump down towards the drivers that are only just coming across the line. And we will get our timing board on the left-hand side so we can see where our drivers are running in this session. As you can see, our pro drivers finding their way to the front of the field right now as we're just waiting for Adam Delmont to see what he is able to do on his lap around the Brands Hatch circuit. As we see his helmet there is absolutely brilliant, I have to say. As we go down Pilgrim's Drop and into Hawthorne Bend here. Adam Delmont hunting his second pole position. He got his first pole of the season last week at Mugello. He was able to convert it to a race win. He is the only driver who has been able to convert a pole position into a race 1 victory so far this season. Can he repeat the feat here at Brands Hatch? Will someone else be able to achieve that feat? Or are we going to see another event of a pole sitter unable to take victory in race number 1? Well, we've got 10 more minutes of qualifying to find out who is going to be on top. And Adam Delmont comes out of Clark Curve along Brabham Straight, the timing line, and goes, gets a lap time on the board that will be good enough for first position. Only just, I was looking at that there, it looked tight, and Arthur Thurtle finds enough space to go in between Borkland and Delmont there. We watch Vigard Olsen Leah. He comes across the timing line in this qualifying session. A big old slide through turn number 1. That's going to invalidate his lap time. Olsen Leah is going to want to get a time on the board. 3 wins so far this season and leading the championship as it stands. You can see how many cars have gone off there at Paddock Hill Bend with the amount of gravel that has been pulled back onto the track or through the outside of Druids. Fortunately not the racing line, but the gravel coming into the corner certainly isn't going to be helping our drivers. We've got Ronald de Jong here racing for Sim Racing Forces Norway, second in the team's championship, of course, partnered with Kim Borkland for this season. De Jong looking to get a time onto the board, and for Ronald de Jong in that semi-pro field, still hunting a first race victory in class as he comes through Sheen Curve and up towards Sterling's. We'll see if he can get a lap time onto the board this time around. He put a 33.1 in last lap. It wouldn't have been a great lap time, but it was also invalidated, which is why we're yet to see De Jong on the timing screens on the left-hand side. We come up towards the timing line as Jack Brown moves into 7th position, and Arthur Thurtle was provisionally in pole position, knocked straight away by Jaden Scotton. Ronald de Jong comes across the timing line there to go 6th in class, which is good enough for a 13th position overall. As we come out of the opening lap there, it looks like Scotton has got a bit of a distant toe on none other than Arthur Thurtle himself, which is why Thurtle went faster. Scotton was able to just find that little bit of extra time, but you can see on the left-hand side that the times are getting quicker here as we head along the back straight of Pilgrim's Shop. We jump down there. Doesn't even look like much of a hill when we run like this. On board, though, much steeper as drivers get themselves turned in towards Hawthorne Bend. And I do believe in the races today we will see some side-by-side action up towards Hawthorne Bend. It's going to make it interesting. You can run side-by-side through there, of course, but it is a tricky corner to make it work. We continue to watch Jaden Scotton here as he comes through the forest, and I tell you, when you're walking through the forest down there in the GP loop, you really feel like you're not in the middle of a racing circuit. You feel very surrounded by trees, which blocks a lot of the sound of the race cars, in fact, but some great racing you can see as a spectator if you head down into the GP loop, just like you can up in the Indy loop, one of the best spectator circuits in the south of England. That is for sure. Jaden Scotton comes through turn number 1, though, as he went provisional pole position. Borkland moved past Adam Delmont, and the man who is hunting his 2nd pole position of the season right now is the slowest of our pro drivers. 4 pro drivers heading into today's event. Of course, that championship all but taken by Adam Delmont right now, and as we head out of today's event with only 3 more events on the board, Adam Delmont might just keep on dropping more and more points as the events go on. Of course, he is dropping the most amount of points right now, and he's going to be hoping he can continue to run some strong results through the rest of this season. Can he find his way to pole position for a 2nd time? No. Jaden Scotton, who is provisionally in pole position, is hunting his 1st pole of the season. In fact, so is Arthur Thurtle. 2 of our 4 pro drivers yet to get themselves onto pole position. Tom Woodcock and Luke Woodhouse are the best of the rest right now. Woodcock leading the semi-pro field, Woodhouse leading the pro-am field. And it is the man 2nd in the amateur championship, Thomas Coombe, who leads the amateur field right now as Kim Borkland finds time to place himself on provisional pole position. It was an improvement in lap time for Adam Delmont, but it was not enough to move up the order. Semi-pro leader right now in the championship, Daniel Downing, moves into 2nd place in class. He sits 6th position overall right now as we head up towards Graham Hill Bend. Few drivers still yet to get lap times on the board. One of those being Vigard Olsen-Lear, who is still trying to hunt down a 1st pole position. Olsen-Lear coming through turn number 1 there. A little bit of issues ahead of him in, I think that was Ben Gibbons very possibly running off the circuit. It certainly was Ben Gibbons heading off the circuit there through Paddock Hill Bend. That caught Olsen-Lear out. Olsen-Lear having 4.5 minutes left on the clock here to try and do something. Luke Woodhouse here, the fastest of the Pro-Ams, has gone faster than your semi-pro drivers as well. So Luke Woodhouse looking to do something here in that area motorsports team, of course partnered with Ben Gibbons. Very much in different positions right now as Gibbons is running 2nd in class. We should note Ben Gibbons there, and only, 0.12 of a second behind Thomas Coombe. It is close at the front of the amateur field right now. It's about 0.5 of a second between Woodcock and Downing, and it is just a 1/10 of a second separating the top 3 drivers. Can Jaden Scotton find time on this lap time as we ride down through Paddock Hill Bend, as Jaden Scotton for JC Academy Emerald is looking to try and get his first pole position of the season. Scotton yet to take a race victory this season as well. He's had a couple of strong results, a couple of unfortunate results as well. It looks like Brands Hatch might be a strong one for him today. As we look on the left-hand side there, a lot of drivers. This is their home race of the season, of course, racing under various flags of England and Britain. Kev Aylett as close to home as he can go, being from the Isle of Man, of course. Alan McCain coming from Northern Ireland as well on the left-hand side. You can see those flags. Just a jump across into the UK and into England, and looking to see what he can do here around Brands Hatch as we, of course, take the touring cars global around the world. And Kim Borkland right now looking to upset a lot of the Brits as he's the man on top of the pecking order here in qualifying. Jaden Scotton not happy with his lap time there, backing out towards the end of his lap. He'll have one more go at this to see if he can knock Borkland off of pole position. Borkland, of course, found himself in pole at VIR. He was unable to take a race victory that week, however, and Borkland himself is yet to take a race victory this season. Could this potentially be his best opportunity, with VIR being the last time he had the chance to go from the front of the field? Jaden Scotton, though, going for one more attempt on his qualifying lap here. Have we seen everyone place lap times on the board? Mark Draper is yet to get a valid lap time on the board and yet to go out onto the, well, not out on the track at the moment to do that, as Stephen Fry is out on track, of course, partnered with Dan Mould, who's had to unfortunately step back for an injury, which means that Fry is carrying that SRL banner on his own now. They are currently third in the team's championship. How well will Fry be able to maintain that strong start to the season from the SRL Rosso team? Luke Woodhouse right now continuing to lead all of our semi-pro drivers. He's running with the 447 machine, 5th position, as Stephen Fry pushes it just a little bit too much there. It looks like quite a lot of our drivers have come down pit lane. We got Chesney Vandenbroek here, JC Academy Topaz, running out there in the number 23 machine, 5th in class right now. It's 26th position overall for Vandenbroek as we get 40 seconds left on the board. Drivers will just be completing their lap times and seeing where they are able to find themselves. And in fact, it sounded like Vandenbroek there was very much coasting around the end of that lap as Craig Walters comes across the timing line and pulling Luke Woodhouse with him as well. Was it an improvement on that time for Woodhouse? It was! Luke Woodhouse finds himself in the middle of the pro drivers, sitting in your Pro-Am class. Luke Woodhouse, take a bow with that qualifying effort. What an amazing run that was. Less than a 1/10 of a second behind Kim Borkland. Their drivers just finishing the end of their laps here. And as we take a moment, I'm just going to remind you of how this event works, because we have got a 20-minute race coming your way now. We will then get another race coming up after that. That will be for 25 minutes of racing action. That being said, then let's get to the grid so we can find out how this one is going to begin as we prepare for race number 1. It is going to be pole position for Kim Borkland ahead of Jaden Scotton. Luke Woodhouse is going to start this one in 3rd position, with Arthur Thurtle in 4th and Adam Delmont in 5th. Tom Woodcock will be starting in 6th position. 7th will be for John Brown ahead of Daniel Downing and Jack Brown. Craig Walters will be starting in 10th ahead of Stephen Fry and Stuart Gibbons. We will then see Demis Titchler in 13th out of Fraser Garrity. Kev Aylett will start in 15th out of Carl Hardy and Chris London. Alan McCain in 18th out of Ronald de Jong and Ben Gibbons. Thomas Kuhn will start in 21st out of Dec Crowther, Paul Hurley and Aaron Matthews. We then have JB Dejay in 25th ahead of Chesney Brandenburg, Daniel Lewis and Lucas Henschel. Andy Littler and Torben Mayle round out your top 30. And the back of your field will be Kevin Marshallsay, Vigard Olsen-Lear and Mark Draper. That is not a great position for Vigard Olsen-Lear, the leader of your amateur field. That is a low qualifying position. We'll have to be a lot with that. Ben Gibbons, we saw there, getting past Thomas Kuhn for pole position in the amateur field. But we prepare to go racing here of a nice, strong field of 33 drivers. As we stare down at them, they stare towards turn number 1 of Paddock Hill Bend. The opening lap of this race is surely going to cause some dramas between each of the classes. Chris London, actually, I should say, is in pole in the amateur field. I missed that. Chris London is 17th overall. He's only 2 positions back from a pole, pole position in the reversed grid race. Top 15 will be inverted in race number 2. Drivers then are ready. 20 minutes on the board. We prepare to go racing around Brands Hatch for round number 7. We are green and away. We've got a car stopped in the background. Hopefully everyone can avoid him there. There is contact in the background. There's contact in the foreground. And it is pandemonium. And that is the championship leader in the amateur field involved in that one as well. We head up through turn number 1. Adam Delmont here. Trying to get past Arthur Thirdle. Doing anything there. Can't do it. Trying to get past Luke Woodhouse. Can't do it either. Woodhouse mains in 4th position right now. There are a lot of cars, including Chris London, who started the amateur class pole, who is down pit lane, and there's already cars going side by side and contact in the midfield, and around goes Thomas Kuhn, who's fighting for a lead in the amateur championship. The amateur field right now has fallen. It is down to just 4 cars still in this one without damage, as they try to now get themselves around the remainder of the opening lap at Brands Hatch here. It has been a race start to forget for a number of drivers. Lucas Henschel getting past JB Dejay there. Dejay carrying damage, but trying to get that car all the way round to pit lane. Was caught up in, I believe, the start line crash. This is Garrity running ahead of Titchler and Aylett. Demis Titchler, the Pro-Am Championship leader right now, 6th in class, as Kev Aylett, 3rd in class in the semi-pros, going to the inside here, looking to try and move up some positions and help their championship fights as we head into the back end of this championship. That is what a lot of drivers are going to be thinking about, is those championship fights now. The drop weeks being applied as well. That was Carl Hardy looking to the inside of Demis Titchler. Hardy is going to want to try and get past Kev Aylett a few positions up the road here, and then try to close down to Daniel Downing. Downing 7th though in this race at the moment. As we come through turn number 4 of Surtees, it's wide by Titchler, and Carl Hardy will go through, but then he's turned. Hardy is turned by Titchler there. And no, that's, yeah, that is, I don't know why it's saying Kev Aylett. That is Carl Hardy who has been turned there. We'll have to turn off the bottom third. There we go. It is now accurate for our drivers there. Ronald de Jong has got a meatball flag on the 2nd lap of asking here. This is what just happened with Hardy and Titchler, turned by Titchler. And this is what happened to Ronald de Jong. It was with Titchler in front of him. He just seems to have caught, was he caught up in it? As he all slowed down, he got caught there. He hit Titchler's rear left corner of his car. De Jong will have to come down pit lane here. We'll get some replays of the opening lap in a moment as Daniel Downing looks to hold on ahead of Tom Woodcock. They swap across and Woodcock goes to the inside. They are fighting for second and third position in class, and through goes no, they are fighting for first and second in class at the moment, I should say. It's John Brown holds on to Daniel Downing, but Downing does make his way through. It's Tom Woodcock behind there, who then spins John Brown. What is going on around the Brands Hatch circuit at the moment? Every time there's an overtake, a car is then turned. As we head along down Pilgrim's Drop here with Woodcock in second, Downing now leading this field of semi-pro. Stephen Fry, third in class, has Jack Brown between himself and the leaders of this class right now. Talking about the leaders, Kim Borkman remains in the race lead. In fact, your top 5 remain in the same class order. The only change as Luke Woodhouse has dropped to the back of the pro field right now, leading Borkman, Scott and Thurtle and Delmont to fight it out for the race lead in front then. Right, let's take a quick moment to flash back here to the start of the race, because it was a big one for our drivers. Here it is. A lot of issues as drivers get through. And was that, I'm trying to figure out who that was stopped on the line there in all of that one, because I cannot figure out the livery off the top of my head there, as Paul Hurley returns to the racing track after issues himself there, as drivers continue around. I think it was Lucas Henschel who stopped on the line that ultimately caused this collection. Look at that, it was contact ahead that immediately caused issues, and then it was just piling up behind. DeJay got his damage from that one, and it was just a huge amount of cars involved in that one. We then saw a bit further around the lap, Mayle finding himself spun once again. We saw Thomas Kuhn, we saw that one live. Thomas Kuhn getting spun in this accident. Spun by the Blaze Design Machine initially, then caught Ben Gibbons, and around he goes. This was then the Carl Hardy incident that we saw. Up at the top of the screen there, and then this was John Brown being spun, heavy hit with the wall. Paul Hurley has then had a further issue himself. In fact, no, he doesn't. Paul Hurley, we saw Paul Hurley speeding up. That's because he had slowed down to let the leaders through. John Brown now out of pit lane after that initial contact. That was a lot of stuff to catch up with, of course, but whilst we've been doing that, there's not been too much going on out on circuit, but there could be here. Thurtle looked to the inside of Scotton into Druids. Adam Delmont almost went for that move as well. Wasn't able to do it, had to stay behind as we go back to the midfield as Alan McCain moves up into 11th position, 4th in class, ahead of Stuart Gibbons and Fraser Geraghty. Right now, it is Deck Crowther trying to get past Kev Aylett just up ahead, as well as that was Stuart Gibbons off the circuit through the exit of Graham Hill Bend into Surtees, though a little bit of smoke in the air from some of the drivers ahead, but they have made that work, as that's actually Tom Woodcock falling down the order. I believe he was the cause of the smoke. He is side by side with Daniel Downing now. This is for second in the semi-pro field. It was a momentary look from Daniel Downing to the inside of Tom Woodcock. It didn't turn into anything at that point, though. Still chasing down. We're almost halfway through this race already. It is absolutely flying by here. So much going on. If you're watching over on the SRLTV YouTube channel, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and hit that subscribe button as well. If you're watching over on the Twitch page, make sure you have hit that follow button as we come through. Turn number 9 of Clark Curve. Daniel Downing chasing down here as Titchler gets up the inside of Vandenbroek through the final corner. Chesney Vandenbroek is currently leading the amateur field with all the issues that the amateurs are having. Vandenbroek is in first. Ben Gibbons He's moved up to third in the Amateur Championship right now. He runs second in class, just 1.5 seconds back right now, looking to try and catch up. Aaron Matthews is currently holding on to the final podium spot in that amateur field. Thomas Coombe, who we saw going around from the lead of the amateur field, he is running 4th in class right now as we come out of off of the Cooper Straight through Surtees. Ben Gibbons continuing to run around. Back up then towards the front fight, because this continues to be incredibly close, with the entire front 4 drivers separated by less than a second right now. All of your pro drivers in this race are under just one singular blanket out there. Borkland started this one on pole position for the 2nd time this season and is looking to try and turn that into his first race victory of the season. He's 2nd in the championship right now. He needs the points over Adam Delmont, and he will be thanking the lucky stars right now that Adam Delmont is at the rear of this pro fight, as once again Thurtle looking for the alternate line there up the inside of Jaden Scotton. Will he try again into Druids? No. They'll settle themselves down single file at the moment, and can we just say a huge, great job for Luke Woodhouse sticking on to the pro drivers here. He qualified 3rd overall. He's leading the Pro-Am field, and right now is 4.5 seconds clear of Jack Brown, who is 2nd in class. Tom Woodcock falls down the order. He has gone off and around at Druids. What has happened here is he's tried to get up the inside of Stephen Fry. It's then contact as he's not able to make the turn in there. He finds himself in the gravel, and Tom Woodcock moves down the order. He was up looking for 2nd position. It promotes Kev Aylett into 3rd position in class right now, 13th overall as he goes through Hawthorne Bend. There's 3 Pro-Am drivers between himself and the rest of the semi-pro field. But can we just say, the podium of your Pro-Am field are all ahead of your semi-pro field right now. And you've got to remember, the order goes pro, semi-pro, Pro-Am. So the 3 Pro-Ams taking full advantage of the absolute pandemonium that has been going out in this racetrack for race number 1. And with a top 15 inverted field, that is by no way going to change in race number 2. Lucas Henschel found himself off at Stirling's, gets himself back on the racing track, down a number of overall positions. He sits 8th in class right now, down to 20th at the moment. Chesney Vandenbroek is 1 place away from getting a potential pole position in race number 2. The top 15 inverted. Demis Titchler is in that spot right now, but Vandenbroek is less than 1.5 seconds. Sorry, it's less than a second away from that space at the moment. So Vandenbroek could find his way onto a provisional pole position in race number 2. Back once again to your race leaders, the top 5 in this race. Your 4 pros and your Pro-Am leader, they are still separated by less than a second. This has been running on all 8 laps so far in this race. We have just under 8 minutes to go now as we come up towards the end of this lap. As they cross the line, we're probably going to get about 6 more laps of asking here, but Luke Woodhouse looking to go for 4th overall, past the overall championship leader of Adam Delmont, and he's not backing out along Brabham Straight. We head up towards Paddock Hill Bend there. Delmont had to run the tighter line in with Woodhouse on his outside. Could Woodhouse look for a move up towards Druids? Right now, no. He's going to have to stay behind. There's a little bit of a nudge there between Delmont and Woodhouse. Woodhouse stays behind for the moment, but this is an incredibly close fight for your top 5 positions in this race, and it is still being led by Kim Borkland, who has led since the very start of this one. Pole position for the 2nd time this season, and he is looking to try and turn that into a race victory. Of course, only happened once so far this season at Mugello. Last time out, Delmont was the first man to convert pole to a race win. Jaden Scotton is the first man in line to try and deny Borkland the same feat here at Brands Hatch. But at the moment, that gap between Borkland and Scotton is opening. 7/10 of a second between them, as Turtle is all over the rear of Scotton, looking to see if there's a way through here as we come up to 5 laps to go with the expected 5 laps to go with 6 minutes on the board. We shall see if that is accurate. Borkland, though, you knew he was running away. He proves it there with a fastest lap over the line on the 9th time of asking. Delmont gets right to the rear of Thurtle there, but just isn't able to turn it into anything at the moment. Craig Walters is all over the rear end of Delmont's teammate Jack Brown. You wonder why Next Gen Racing Green are so dominant in the team's championship. Their drivers are 4th and 6th overall right now. That's showing you why. Craig Walters, though, is looking to try and get past Jack Brown, and that is Daniel Downing chasing behind at the moment as well. Stuart Gibbons is looking to try and take 4th in that Pro-Am class away from Alan McCain. About half a second between them, and Deck Crowther is about half a second behind a podium place in the semi-pros of Kev Aylett. The gap at the front opened up last lap to 7/10 of a second. It's maintained at about the same gap this time around. Delmont, though, looking a little bit impatient behind Arthur Thurtle, but he does understand the championship that is on the line. Thurtle looks to the inside of Scotton as we go through Clark Curve. It'll set him on a slightly wider line on the exit there. It could open the opportunity for Adam Delmont. Thurtle goes defensive. Delmont moves to the left-hand side. He brakes just that little bit earlier there to try and get the switch across through Paddock Hill and up towards Druids. Thurtle placed it, though, exactly where he needed to. Delmont gives him a little bit of a shove through Druids. It sets him wide, though, and that was Woodhouse looking to try and get to the inside of Druids. It couldn't work out for him, and Delmont will hold on to 4th position in this one. Luke Woodhouse holds on to what is 1st position in class. We will get those bottom to show your overall positions again. There we go. I hate that it resets to class position every week, but there we go. Woodhouse running 5th position right now. Fraser Garrity, though, is fighting it out with Stuart Gibbons for 5th in the Pro-Am class. Gibbons runs wide, and Garrity makes his way through. Kev Aylett will also make his way through and place a car between himself and Crowther. But how hard is Stuart Gibbons going to keep Crowther behind here? Because they are both in the Blade Designs outfit. So will Gibbons go for the fight with Kev Aylett, or will he let Crowther through to try and fight for the podium? Of course, these class positions are great for the results in statistics, but the actual ones that matter are your overall results. They are the ones that take you the points in this in the race. So right now, Gibbons not letting Crowther through, and that gap between Crowther and between Aylett has opened up here. It's about 0.3 of a second, so it's not a huge amount, but it is opening up just a little bit. A few laps to go in this race right now, and Luke Woodhouse is still chasing down the leading pro drivers as we come through Surtees out of turn number 4 now, and along the long straight here. Lights flashing there from Jaden Scotton, potentially trying to distract Kim Borkland at the very front of this one. Thurtle himself has fallen off of Scotton, so he is going to be under attack for this 3rd position, being chased by Adam Delmont right now is Arthur Thurtle. as Stuart Gibbons himself has had a big issue on the last lap, and through Paddock Hill Bend, Stuart Gibbons, a big slide, he finds himself onto the gravel and unable to turn. He slams into the wall, and Stuart Gibbons finds himself out of this race after trying to fight for a top 5 in class. He finds himself falling down the order. What that does mean is Chesney Vandenbroek now has been promoted into the lead, into the pole position spot of 15th. He is holding the lead of the amateur class by just half a second here. And if they finish 15th and 16th position, it doesn't just have an impact in this race, it's going to have a significant impact in race number 2, with 15 drivers separating first and second place in the amateur field. So right now, Vandenbroek is going to be wanting to take his first win of the season and do it in 15th place. Is Ben Gibbons going to be able to take his first win of the season and steal it away from Chesney Vandenbroek with just a couple of laps left to go? In fact, will we see this as the final lap of the race? 30 seconds on the board here. It's potential this will be the checkered flag lap, which means drivers behind are looking. Delmont pushes Thurtle through Sheen Curve, looking to unsettle the cars as we go into Stirling's now. Borkland just 0.3 of a second clear on Scotton. We come up towards the end of the lap. Are we going to see the checkered with 4 seconds on the board? Surely we will. We will, as Kim Borkland takes his first win of the season. But the entire top 5 are separated by 1.5 seconds. 1 second, I should correct myself. But a winning class for Luke Woodhouse and Daniel Downing, who is going to come out on top of the amateurs. It's Chesney Vandenbroek who will win the amateurs, and he will find himself on pole position for the second and final race of the day. What a great race that was, though, for all of our drivers. We still have a few left to turn laps here and try and get some points on the board here in race number 1. Race number 2 coming up in just a moment's time. We'll talk you through the results of race number 1, as JB Deshay, one of the many cars that had to come down pit lane and serve a meatball flag on the opening lap of the race. It was carnage for a lot of our drivers. Aaron Matthews holds on to a podium in the amateur class. Craig Walters in the Pro-Ams. And Kev Aylett kept Det Crowther at bay and managed to hold on to the 3rd position in class. Garrity moved his way back past Kev Aylett in their little fight that was going on there then. Right. Let's have a look at our results then from race number 1 of the day around the Brands Hatch circuit here for round number 7. Kim Borkland takes his first win of the season overall and in class. Jaden Scotton coming home in 2nd ahead of Arthur Thurtle, and Adam Delmont managed to take home 4th. Luke Woodhouse, a very strong run in the Pro-Am class, took 5th position, and those top 5 separated by just over 1 second. Jack Brown came home 2nd in class, and Daniel Downing won the semi-pro field ahead of Craig Walters, the final man on the Pro-Am podium. Stephen Fry took home 2nd in the semi-pros ahead of Alan McCain, who rounded out the top 10. It was Fraser Garrity who came home in 11th. Kev Aylett took home the final semi-pro position podium ahead of Det Crowther. Demis Titchler took home 14th, and Chesney Vandenbroek, winning the amateur field, will start race number 2 on pole position. Then Ben Gibbons will cross the line in 16th ahead of Tom Woodcock. Aaron Matthews coming across the line to take 3rd in class. Mark Draper came home in 19th, and Thomas Coombe after going around early doors, came home 4th in class and 20th overall. Lucas Henschel came home 21st position after stalling on the line, which caused the massive pile-up in the end. Not his fault for the contact, of course, but issues with getting off the line. Ahead of Ronald de Jong, who finished in 22nd, and Daniel Lewis in 23rd. Carl Hardy came across the line in 24th, ahead of Vigard Olsen Leah and Torbjörn Mail. Both of those getting involved in the first lap accident on the line as well, the two teammates. JB Deshay came home in 27th, and a lap down was Kevin Marshall, John Brown and Paul Hurley, rounding out your top 30. It was then Chris London and Andy Littler in 31st and 32nd, and Stuart Gibbons retiring out of the race after we saw that turn 1 accident, of course, through Paddock Hill Bend. What a great race that was then for a number of drivers, and we will take just a moment to catch on to one of those drivers and talk about that race if we can out of that one, because it was a very, very strong running for a lot of those drivers as they went around. We are going to pull into the field here one of the pro drivers that was involved in that fight going on all race long. Arthur, it was an amazing fight, all 4 of the pro drivers within a second. It was a race-long battle. How did you find it?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I think I had the pace on Kim and Jaden, but then they both kept making little half mistakes, but there was never a mistake big enough for anyone to get alongside anyone. The only bit of action was really when Delmont missed his braking point and shoved me up the rear.
It was a lot of following around, that's for sure. Of course, race number 2 then, you are going to be running around from the bottom end of the top 15. Do you think there's going to be opportunities to make your way back towards the front, or do you think it's going to be a trickier race this time?
As far as reverse grids go, it's going to be tricky because it is so difficult to overtake here, but I'll probably end up following Delmont and hopefully getting top 5. That's the target.
A top 5 is an ambitious position in a circuit like this one. We saw a lot of cars going around early doors in race number 1, including 7 cars on the start-finish line. Are you worried about the incidents that may happen before you get towards the front?
As long as they're behind me, I'm not worried. If they're in front of me, I'll be worried about it. I'll try and steer clear of everything. But I haven't had much luck since last season. I've had no luck with reverse grid races, but hopefully that will change now.
Well, a strong result of 3rd in race number 1. Hopefully another strong one in race number 2. Good luck, Arthur.
Thank you.
Arthur Thurtle there, coming home in 3rd position in race number 1. Race number 2 is about to begin here, though, so we are going to get ourselves ready around this track. Like I said, race number 2, the top 15 drivers from race number 1 are going to be inverted. We will get your grid up on your screens when they start to get themselves down onto the racing track for this one. If you are watching for the first time today then and you're not quite sure how this one works, well, we are about to go out for race number 2. 25 minutes of racing action instead of just 20 in this one. And as I say, the top 15 from your race 1 results are going to find themselves reversed here. We are ready for this one. I sure hope that you guys are, as we are broadcasting live on SRLTV. So if you're watching over on the YouTube and you haven't already done so, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button so that you can see all of these wonderful Friday night TCR races. And if you are over watching on Joseph Wright Broadcasting over on the Twitch side of things, make sure you hit that follow button over there so you don't miss any of the broadcasts. 6 broadcasts coming at you across the course of this weekend, so it is full on action over on the Twitch side of things as well. Right then, let's get ourselves down and have a look at the grid for race number 2. Chesney Vandenbroek in our amateur field will be starting this one from pole position ahead of Demis Titchler. Dec Crowther will start in 3rd and Kev Aylett in 4th position. Fraser Garrity will start in 5th ahead of Alan McCain. Stephen Fry will start race number 2 from 7th ahead of Craig Walters, and then it's Daniel Downing and Jack Brown. Luke Woodhouse, dominant in the Pro-Am class in race number 1, will start 11th. Ahead of our 4 pro drivers is Adam Delmont in 12th position, ahead of Arthur Thurtle, Jaden Scotton, and the race 1 winner, Kim Borkland, will be starting from 15th on the grid. The rest of your field then will go across the screens for you, but it will be in the same order as the race 1 results. How is this one going to go? We had carnage on the grid in race number 1 with a stalled car leading to some big instance. We then saw a number of cars around early doors as drivers tried to make their way through various positions. What is going to happen here in race number 2? Are our drivers going to be able to find their way around this track in a safer manner? Well, let's find out and see how we get on, of course, and see if any of our pro drivers are able to make their way through to the front of the field, or for the 3rd time this season, are we going to see a non-pro driver take an overall race victory? It happened at round 4, Summit Point, race 2 for Stephen Fry. Round 6, Magello, race 2 for Stuart Gibbons. Will it happen at round 7, Brands Hatch, race 2? Maybe for Chesley Vandenbroek, who starts on pole position. 25 minutes on the clock, tyres spinning from Vandenbroek. We are away for race number 2 here. Everyone off the line this time as we head up towards Paddock Hill Bend. The car slow off the line though. We'll start dropping down the order. We head up towards turn number 1 and drivers side by side, but it looks like everyone getting through right now facing the right way. That certainly is how the field's going to go, but that changes as we go into the hairpin, as we see that is going to be John Brown off at Druid, side by side here in the midfield. This is where our pro drivers are sitting right now, and our pro drivers are trying to get any position on each other. Early doors right now, that's Arthur Thurtle. Contact, getting bumped and banged. He's already made his way past Delmont, but he's got Borkland here, looking to try and make his way through. Crowther moves into the overall race lead as Thurtle goes defensive in this midfield as they come through Hawthorne Bend. Up towards the front then, Vandenbroek's down to 2nd overall right now. Deck Crowther leading the overall race at the as it stands on this opening lap of Asking. It is very close all the way down the field at the moment. Scotton has managed to move up into 12th position here. He has got past Thurtle. He's got past, who has he got past? He's got past Thurtle and Delmont. He is now leading the pro field on the opening lap of Asking here as we come up towards the timing line, as drivers go for different racing lines. At the moment, that is Jack Brown looking to try and get past Stephen Fry ahead. He's got Luke Woodhouse behind as well. As we go through turn number 1, there's gravel being kicked up, and it's side by side in the background as Delmont tries to hold it around the outside of Borkland. Borkland gets the inside though. It was side by side ahead, as well as that's Jaden Scotton losing out the position on Luke Woodhouse. There's contact there. It's Borkland sideways. It's 3 wide in the middle of the field. They settle themselves 2 wide here, and that is going to be Thomas Coombe looking to find his way past these drivers as well. He's hunting down Ben Gibbons, who's running side by side with Adam Delmont as we come through the back end of the lap here, but Ben Gibbons makes his way past Adam Delmont, and our pro drivers are starting to go the wrong way through this field. Borkland overtaken by Coombe, but Borkland gets that position back as Delmont has issues. Adam Delmont is out of the race. Championship leader is contact with Ben Gibbons there, and he pulls to the side, and I'm not sure why he pulled to the side there. There was no meatball, no major damage on that car, but that means this is likely to be a drop week now. Other points will be reinstated for Delmont. Chris London is down pit lane with a meatball flag as well, but Delmont out of this race. Craig Walters to the inside of Jack Brown. They run side by side through turn number 1. That's Fry looking to get up the inside of McCain as well, just ahead as we go through Druids. This is Woodhouse pushing on. Fry gets past McCain. Woodhouse touches Brown there, trying to overtake for 5th position. Woodhouse backs out of it though, as he is overtaken by Arthur Thurtle. Thurtle leading the pro field right now. He said he wanted to follow Adam Delmont. Right now he's following Delmont's teammate instead. That was Jaden Scott. And what's just happened there? What just happened? It almost looked like Arthur Thurtle came to a stop on the exit of Surtees. What just happened? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Where are we? Here we go. Let's see what's happened here to Arthur Thurtle. What was that in this fight? Which means Kim Borkland is the only surviving pro driver in this second race of asking. What happened here for Arthur Thurtle? He just suddenly lost all speed, didn't he? This is Scotton. No, that's the brakes. That was the brake lights from Arthur Thurtle there. Something significant must have broken for Arthur Thurtle to have slammed on the brake lights on the exit of Surtees there. We'll have to have a word with what on earth happened there. I'll have to try and catch up. I'm sure that I won't be able to speak to Thurtle at the end of this race, but hopefully before next week I'll be able to have a word and find out what happened in that incident, as this is Demis Titchler looking to try and take 2nd position overall off of Chesney Vandenbroek here. They run side by side down Pilgrim's Drop and up towards Hawthorne Bend here. Titchler trying to hold on the outside of Vandenbroek. Vandenbroek keeps the speed though and will hold on to 2nd position in this race ahead of Titchler. Daniel Downing is running 3rd right now, looking to try and get past Kev Ayler in the semi-pro field. Downing looking to try and get as many points as possible onto the board here as we come through Stirling's, and it is side-by-side action from multiple drivers. Once again, Vandenbroek is looking to hold on to his position, as that's Geraghty now trying to take the lead in the Pro-Ams past Demis Titchler. They run side-by-side across the timing line. It's going to be the inside for Geraghty here, and he will take that position. And Vandenbroek is just going to take the advantage to pull away. It'll switch over on the exit of Paddock Hill though, and Titchler will return to the inside line here of Fraser Geraghty. They come out of Druids up towards Graham Hill Bend. There's contact is sideways for Titchler. He finds it the right way though, and Geraghty will manage to hold on straight there. Lights flashing though from Titchler. He is not happy with what just happened in that situation, because that was a major move across the circuit there from Fraser Geraghty that took out Titchler. Fortunately for Titchler, only down behind Kev Aylett here, but that was a very strange move for Fraser Geraghty in that one. I'm sure it'll be one of the many instances at the end of today's races that are going to be looked at from the race stewards, with penalties applied. Of course, there were penalties applied as of last week at Mugello that are either applied in the races at the next scoring round. We don't touch too much on the penalties because it's not really something that you need to focus on when you're looking at these championship fights, but there are penalties that are applied out there, of course, introduced in season number 10, heading out of Long Beach. It was Long Beach that caused them to be introduced, and unfortunately it's something that does need to be introduced when you have fields as large as this one. Of course, it has worked out very well though, the penalty system, and if you want to find out a little bit more about there, make sure you head across to the SRL's Discord, which is shown in the QR code on most of our screens, as well as in the link on the YouTube. As we continue around the lap here, this is the midfield, and there are a lot of the SRL branded machines out there. Of course, all three of them running under the different banners. You've got SRL Purple, SRL Rosso, and SRL Blue out here together in Fry, Walters, and then that is Downing at the front of it in purple. Of course, Alan McCain chasing down right now, running independently this season. Looking to try and catch up towards Craig Walters just in front of him and try to get a podium in class. Now, Kim Borkland has managed to make his way up just a few positions here. He's 11th position. He took class position in race number 1. He will take the class win in race number 2, but in 11th position with 15 minutes left on the board here, it is highly unlikely that Kim Borkland is going to be taking the overall race victory here, which means for the 3rd time this season in 7 rounds, we are going to see a non-pro driver take race 2 victory. These inverted fields, of course, make them incredibly interesting as Luke Woodhouse has found his way down pit lane. It's not a penalty. There's no meatball, but it certainly does look like it's for damage as Luke Woodhouse finds his way back out again. It was no meatball, but significant enough damage there for Luke Woodhouse that he needed to come down pit lane, and we'll try this one again. We come up towards Surtees here, and it's side by side a little bit there from Titchler and Aylett. Now remember, Titchler looking to try and get past Aylett because he is going to want to fight Fraser. Geraghty once more, talking about fighting Fraser. Geraghty, here comes Aylett to go past Geraghty. Titchler goes to the inside. He's not going to hold back, surely, with the way that Geraghty tried to make the move earlier. Titchler now stuck on the outside, though, as Daniel Downing looking to get to the inside. Geraghty swapped to the inside of Aylett. It remains Aylett ahead of Geraghty. Downing drops behind Titchler, but it is side by side between Stephen Fry and Walters. It's contact between Walters and Fry. Walters stuck on the outside. Drew Sterling's here. It'll give Fry the advantage. McCain looking to try and get involved in this one. Walters will stay side by side up towards Clark Curve, the right-hander, but Stephen Fry keeps the speed on the outside. The 3 drivers, though, their fighting has just cost them time as they drop a second behind those ahead. McCain looking to get up the inside of Craig Walters and get onto the Pro-Am podium. It's a little bit of a wobble under the brakes there. That's Jack Brown behind Brown in 5th in class, looking to get up the inside of McCain now as we get up into Druids. It's the inside line for Jack Brown. McCain stuck on the outside. What was an overtaking opportunity sees him falling, but he will remain on the inside into Graham Hill Bend here. Alan McCain to the left of Jack Brown. Brown touches him on the outside. Brown will have to drop back there as Kim Borkland makes his way through to take 10th position overall there. As we come through turn number 4 of Surtees there. Brown onto the grass. No, sorry, that was McCain onto the grass. He tried to get past Brown. As I can't believe I called it turn number Surtees. That's how much was going on there that I was trying to process just a little bit too much. Talking about processing a bit too much. This is a fight for 5th, and it was processing an open opportunity for Tom Woodcock to get up the inside of Ronald de Jong. He wasn't quite able to make that one work. Back to Alan McCain, though, 5th in class, chasing down Jack Brown. 4th in class, they have lost that Pro-Am podium chase ahead of him. This is Stephen Fry, though, looking to try and get past Demis Titchler. If Fry can get past Titchler, he can hunt down Daniel Downing, who right now is 3rd in the semi-pro field, but Stephen Fry needs to get past him first. Craig Walters, however, says, okay, Fry, I see you there. I'm going to go for this overtake to the inside, and it is going to stay to the inside line here. McCain onto the gravel in the background, but that's to the inside for Walters of Titchler. Fry is going to try and follow through here. He will be stuck on the outside of Graham Hill Bend. The position goes away of Demis Titchler, and Stephen Fry will have to remain behind in 8th position right now. Now, with 2 Pro-Am drivers between himself and Daniel Downing, Fry looks to the inside through turn number 4. And Titchler runs onto the grass there, so is going to give Fry the opportunity to get the speed here. Along through Pilgrim's Drop and up towards Hawthorne Bend. Fry's going to be stuck on the outside. but we have seen in the past in various series that outside line work for Fry though. He goes for an astonishing switchback move, and Stephen Fry moves past Demis Titchler for 7th place overall in this race. Chesney Vandenbroek has been doing an amazing job in the amateur field lead, as has Dek Crowther at the very front of this field as well. Kev Aylett though leading a few cars up in the chase towards Chesney Vandenbroek here with just over 10 minutes left to go in this one. Carl Hardy is looking to try and take 17th place overall. It'll be 6th place past Daniel Lewis in class if he is able to make this work. Torben Mayo there running ahead of his, of Paul Hurley and then his teammate Vigard Olsen Leo. Of course, both of them caught up in the race. One accident. We didn't see those accidents this time, however. Carl Hardy comes up towards turn number 1, has dropped off a little bit there in his fight with Daniel Lewis. We return to this gaggle of cars towards the front here. That is Fraser Garrity ahead of Daniel Downing. Craig Walters a little bit further off the back there. You can see Kev Aylett just a little bit further up the road, and Aylett has closed the gap down to Vandenbroek to 7/10 of a second here. So there is an opportunity for this chasing field to get past Vandenbroek. Vandenbroek right now taking a lot of points to his name, because Ben Gibbons, who's second in class, is currently 12th position. Thomas Coombe, however, got sent around in race number 1. He is looking to try and close up to Aaron Matthews' teammate. Third position in class. That's what I meant to say. It's the same in class, not teammate, but class position, which would be a podium in class. Ben Gibbons is running around second right now and has had a very strong weekend in class. It looks like he's going to go back-to-back in second place right now. Jack Brown trying to chase down Demis Titchler for this podium in the Pro-Am field. We're less than 10 minutes on the clock here as we come up towards the timing line, as drivers are just heading around at the moment and trying to do anything that they can in this race, including Ronald de Jong, who's looking to just try and take some points. He's running by himself towards the back of this one in 25th position. John Brown also a lap down, running all by himself out there. The first of those out of this one is Luke Woodhouse down pit lane. Right, up towards this front then. This is the train of drivers being led by amateur leader Chesney Vandenbroek. He has Kev Aylett behind, Fraser Garrity chasing, Daniel Downing, Craig Walters. Stephen Fry is then just a second off. He's pulling up the pro leader of Kim Andre Borkland. Now, Kim Borkland, I would say, might not have a chance to win this one. Still has a chance to get second. He's not actually far off that one. Position-wise, he's down in 8th. He has a bit of work to do. Overtaking needs to be done here as we head up through the back end of the circuit, out of Westfield Bend, through Dingledale, outside of Knickerbrook, probably one of my favourite names on any racing course in the UK. Knickerbrook being at Alton Park, of course. What an amazing story that has behind it. But Dingledale has to be my second favourite name, and that's the drop that goes between turns 6 of Westfield Bends and 7 of Sheen Curve. Now, Kev Aylett is getting pushed here by Garrity. Is Garrity trying to help Aylett catch up towards Vandenbroek? It certainly looks like he's not going for the move, but he is getting the glass, and that is going to find Garrity into the gravel, and through goes Craig Walters, his teammate, for the lead in the Pro-Am field. Daniel Downing and Stephen Fry at the semi-pro fields get through too, and Kim Borkland tried to take advantage, but Garrity down to second in class now, down to 7th in this race, was pushing Kev Aylett. But then went wrong at turn number 1. Borkland finds his way past Garrity through Surtees, and it is a big gaggle of cars. This is the chase up to second. This is the fight for third, with Daniel Downing 0.2 of a second off of Aylett. He dropped down to less than a tenth behind Ayla as they came down Pilgrim's Drop through Hawthorne's Bend, though, having to back out just a little bit as we go through Dingle-Dell. A nice section on the racetrack as well as you climb back up the hill and into Sheen Curve. You can take a lot of that curbing on the inside, but you do always risk sending yourself out onto the grass and setting up for a very poor run into Stirlings. You need a good run through Stirlings because the speed you carry out of Stirlings, you carry all the way into Clark Curve, through Clark Curve here and up towards Paddock Hill Bend. There are multiple groups of drivers trying to chase down Chesney Vandenbroek, who currently runs in second position overall, leading the amateur field. Aylett on the outside here. Daniel Dowding goes to the inside of Kev Aylett, fighting for second in the semi-pro field, and Aylett is absolutely defenseless on the outside. It will turn to the inside though, and this is giving Vandenbroek just a slight opportunity here to pull away from those fighting behind, but Daniel Downing will hold on ahead of Kev Aylett. Craig Walters wait to try and make the move there. Walters leading the Pro-Am field right now. It's Kim Borkland who's moved his way into sixth past Stephen Fry, who is still hunting down a race victory. He can get onto an overall podium, that is for sure, as we watch the cars head through the forests here in the Kent countryside. Around the outside, they disappear behind the trees, but they remain single file as they'll reappear coming through Sheen Curve and up towards Stirlings here. A slightly different line there from Portland as they headed up to Stirling. See if there was potentially an opportunity for him to make the move. He's looking ahead here at the Pro-Am leader of Craig Walters and thinking, right, where can I make my move? Where can I make my overtake work here? Because as we cross the timing line, we are looking at potentially 3 more laps in this race. If we are lucky. Up towards turn number 1 though, and Vandenbroek is going to lose to Daniel Downing and potentially to Kev Aylett here. Vandenbroek moves across to defend. It's contact behind as they all get slowed down for Druid. Somehow they all continue facing the right way here. Jack Brown remains ahead of Geraghty. Geraghty to the inside of Titular there, and will hold on to the podium, but Jack Brown has found his way into second in that Pro-Am class right now, past Fraser Geraghty, who was previously leading the class before he found himself off at turn number 1. We head down Pilgrim's Drop and up towards Hawthorne Bend here. Daniel Downing could potentially look at closing that gap to Dec Crowther, but it's unlikely that a almost 5 second deficit here will be closed down with 3.5 minutes on the board. Kev Aylett found himself onto the grass along the Derek Minter Straight as they exited Hawthorne Bend, but he found his way back on without losing any position, and really not much time here. A change in podium positions. Thomas Coombe finds his way past Aaron Matthews, as that's because Matthews has found his way off the circuit on the exit of Westfield Bend and through Dingle-Dell. Thomas Coombe moves up. That is crucial. It is a podium in the amateur field. Torborg Mail has found himself off with a big incident with his teammate as well. A number of cars off at turn number 1. It was initially contact behind and 4 cars involved, 3 finding significant issues there. Mail finding himself falling significantly down the order, same as Olsen Leah as well, and I believe it was John Brown who was caught up in that one as well. No, it was Paul Hurley who was caught up in that one initially. This is what it looked like from on board Hurley. Contact from behind, nothing he could do in that one. How about on board Olsen Leah here? Moves, do you know what? It's just cars coming all to the same point on the racing track, wasn't it? It was all the cars just coming together at the same part of the racing track. Talking about coming together on the same part of the racing track. Stephen Fry gets to the inside of Vandenbroek as Vandenbroek continues to fall down the overall order here. No! Stephen Fry gets spun! He'll find himself hard into the wall on the outside, then into the wall at on the very top of the circuit as well. Fraser Garrity will need to find his way down pit lane to serve a penalty, as that was Titchler side by side here with McCain finds his way through. Ben Gibbons now up to 10th place in class. Jack Brown was also off the circuit as McCain looks to make his way past Titchler. If you wanted a bingo board of anything that can happen in this race, well, you've got it around Brands Hatch. And it looks like it might be a full semi-pro podium here. Only one pro driver remains in this race in Kim Borkland, and he sits 5th right now, half a second away from a podium. It is not unlikely he can take the podium. He is very likely to take it if the fights continue. But are we going to get the checkered this lap? Remember, the white flag never fell for us. We just saw the checkered in race 1. Will the same happen here as Walters is behind Aylett? And off the circuit once again goes Aylett, so Walters to the inside. And almost everyone in the background off the track there. As we come up towards Sheen Curve, it is Borkland looking to 4th to the inside. Can he get past Craig Walters, who now gets onto the podium in the overall race? As Crowther comes around the final turn, I think he's going to get one more lap on the board. We are. We're going to get one more lap in this. Borkland can still take a podium here with the rest of the pro drivers out of this. Alan McCain to the outside of Fraser Garrity. Garrity, remember, has that black flag. So he'll be fighting for 2nd overall, but he won't hold it once the post-race penalty has applied at the end of this race. McCain, though, is he going to try and take that position on track? He's a 2nd clear of Demis Titchler. He doesn't need to. He can just hold on to this one. Kim Borkland chasing down Craig Walters then. Can Walters get an overall podium in this one? The man, though, who has not seen much screen time, has been the man at the very front of the field. Dec Crowther has been showing a huge amount of pace in race number 2. He has not won since Jerez in round 1, where he took victory in the semi-pro class in race number 2. Borkland still behind Walters here. But Dec Crowther of the Blades Design team will come home to take his 2nd class win of the season and his 1st overall race victory. Dec Crowther comes around Clark Curve and on Brabham Straight will take the checkered. Daniel Downing will take 2nd. And Craig Walters will keep Borkland at bay to take an overall 3rd alongside class victory. Borkland takes 4th with his class victory. And Chesney Vandenbroek crosses the line to take home 6th position. As Vigard Olsen Leah here looking to try and take 6th in class past Andy Littler. We come through the final turn. Olsen Leah gets as inside as he possibly can. It's going to be a drag race to the line between Olsen Leah and Andy Littler. But it will go the way of Andy Littler by 1/100th of a second between the two of them. But what a race that was. A lot happening in that one. But won by Dec Crowther. Garrity's penalty applied. He's demoted to 22nd position overall. And with that being said, let's have a look at our overall race results from race number 2 here, the 7th round of Asking. And overall, Dec Crowther takes home not only the semi-pro victory, but an overall victory with that in class. Kim Borkland managed to take the double in the pro field, but not able to take the double in the overall race results. Daniel Downing closed the gap to Dec Crowther, halved it in fact from when he moved into second position, but he just didn't have enough time after he was able to dispatch Vandenbroek to close up to the Blades Design driver. Craig Walters made it a double SRL podium across the two different outfits there, and he took the win in the Pro-Am field. Kim Borkland, as I say, took home 4th overall, but the win in class ahead of Kev Aylett, who was your final semi-pro podium sitter. Chesley Vandenbroek winning your amateur field in the end ahead of Alan McCain and Demis Titchler, your 2 second drivers on the podium in 2nd and 3rd at your Pro-Am field. Jack Brown just missing out on that podium, finished 9th overall, ahead of Ben Gibbons, who took 2nd place in the amateur field. It was then Tom Woodcock who came home 11th position, and on the final few laps to go, Thomas Coombe was able to take home 12th position in that one and the final amateur class podium place. Aaron Matthews came home in 13th for some strong results, 3rd and 4th in class for him. JB DeJay came home 14th ahead of Carl Hardy. Mark Draper and Daniel Lewis. Torburn Mayo, we saw issues in both races for him. He finished 18th ahead of Kevin Marshall Say. And Andy Littler rounding out your top 20. Vigard Olsen Leah, your amateur class leader heading into this weekend. That might not be the same heading out of it. However, he sits in 21st overall after that race ahead of Fraser Garrity and Ronald de Jong. A lap down in the end was John Brown. We saw him into the barrier early doors. Stephen Fry, 3 laps down. Paul Hurley, 5 laps down and out of the race was Luke Woodhouse, Lucas Henschel, Arthur Thurtle, Jaden Scotton, who technically were 2nd and 3rd in class, ahead of Adam Delmont and Chris London, all with major issues, and Stuart Gibbons, a completely opposite evening compared to his teammate Dec Crowther, came home in 33rd position and out at the very start of the race. What an evening of racing that has been then. Let's see what has happened out of that one, because it was a great evening of racing. In fact, we will see if we can pull in our overall race winner from race number 1, Dec Crowther, who managed to get past Chesley Vandenbroek early doors in that one and just absolutely dominate that race. Dec, it was a great race for you. You managed to come home that one in the overall race victory. Talk us through it.
Like I said just before you brought me in, luckily Chesney made a mistake right in the beginning. I managed to get past him. Got away from him a bit because Chesney, fair play to him, and unfortunately lost his 2nd place late on. Fair play to him, hats off to him, but yeah, I managed to get a gap because he kept them all behind him for most of the race.
Well, it was a very strong 2nd race for you. You were placed in that perfect position due to race number 1. It's been an incident-filled races for a lot of them out there, but it seemed to turn into your favour. It was your 2nd class win of the season as well. The last time you were able to do that was all the way back at Jerez. So how was it not only leading your class, but leading the overall field and taking that checkered flag?
It's always a good feeling, isn't it? Being in front from near enough start to finish. Can't complain really, can I? It was a good race. It wasn't what I was expecting, I'll be honest, because I'm not very good on this track. I do like the track, but I'm not very good on it. So I can't have got a better result. It's simple as that, to be honest.
Well,
happy. Yeah.
It was a strong way to have your evening, that is for sure. With us coming into the final 3 rounds now, is your focus trying to climb that championship board, get yourself towards the front of the semi-pro field. Of course, right now you are sitting 5th. You found some points, just under 100 points off of Daniel Downing. So, I mean, is the championship fight on for you, do you think?
I don't know. That's a bit of a tall order, being 100 points behind. But obviously, I'm going to just keep going, do my best, see where I end up. That's all I can do.
Well done for today's races, that victory in race number 2, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, pal.
Derek Crowther there coming home to take the victory. What I always love when we talk to the drivers, especially when we said, right, you've won the race, well done, it went really, really well. How do you feel? Oh, well, I'm not very great at this track. I'm quite slow at this track, or I didn't feel like I was doing my best. You've just won a race. Let's celebrate. You might not feel like this track is yours, but what a race number 2 was. That was for sure. And it was, again, and we were talking, Chesley Vandenbot there, who was holding on to 2nd position. He managed to take class win in 6th position overall at the end of that one. But it was a huge amount of fights going on for drivers up and down the field, of course. It was a race one to forget for JB Dejay. However, race 2 was a little bit more in your favour. You managed to climb up the order, Dejay, from near the back of the field towards 14th place and 5th in class. Talk us through your evening here.
Hey, Joseph. Yeah, the first race, well, you know, you don't know if somebody's stopped until at the start, that they didn't get off the line, and so that ruined the first race for me. I tried to avoid him, but I couldn't. Those things happen. He didn't mean it. He's very sorry, so I've done it myself. Second race was a lot better, a lot more fun. Really had a good race with Carl for probably the last third of the race, and Daniel was in there, had fun racing him. Carl lost his VR, so he's on a single screen, which he's not used to, which worked in my favor because I think he definitely would have had me. But it was just a great time, great bunch of guys, and really looking forward to your broadcast.
Wow, we caught that first lap incident, of course, in race number 1. Your fight up the order in race number 2 was brilliant as well. So how are you feeling now in that Pro-Am Championship? Of course, you were holding on to 7th heading into this evening. You're about 100 points behind Demis Titchler, but you have got a number of drivers not too far ahead of you, including the run all the way up to 3rd place. Do you think that you've got opportunities throughout the final 3 rounds to move yourself up the championship once more?
I can get some clean races. I was just talking to the guys that I have not had two clean races in a row yet this season, just not my season. I've had work has kept me away. I've had some family commitments, so I have 3 rounds that I did in 3 weeks. I was not able to race, and the other races, it's just been one of those things, nothing on purpose. I've just have crashed out or been meatballed like today. Just something has happened to me, one of the 2 races. So my goal for the rest of for the last 2 weeks are 2 clean races, and we'll see where we end up.
Of course, well, it's 3 weeks, of course, this being the 7th round of asking our Hungarian delay to the end of the season. So
that's right, I forgot about that. So there, 3. So the next 3, yeah. No, you're right. I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
So, well, it means you got an extra round to try and pull in those extra points as well.
Gonna do what I can.
Right, well done for race number 2, and hopefully we can see a weekend where 2 races go well for you, JB. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, Joseph. Take care.
JB Dejay there coming home. 14th overall, 5th in class. What an evening of racing it has been, and it is one that I think a lot of drivers will be looking at and thinking, wow, that was a tricky one. And I think that's certainly what today was. It was a tricky track. It was one where every overtake could be the difference between winning and losing. And for some drivers, it genuinely was losing. In race number 1, we saw every overtake lead to an incident of some sort during that little fight. Race number 2, we saw a lot more side-by-side action, but again, a number of accidents still occurring there. Such a tight track. But on the whole. For us here, I'm sure for you guys, I know for me, that was a brilliant evening of racing, and it's all happened from start to end. It was all going on. Absolutely brilliant. We still do have, as I mentioned there, 3 more weeks of racing. We head to Catalonia in a week's time as we head to round number 8. What was originally the final round of the season of Road America is going to happen on March 13th. And now our new final round of the championship, it was postponed from being round number 5. It has been pushed on to round number 10. Hungaroring is where we finish this championship off in 3 weeks' time. I can't believe it's less than a month until the end of the championship. What that does mean, of course, is season 11 preparations are underway. And if you want to make sure that you are getting yourselves in and ready to get yourself signed up, because we had a very full roster of drivers for season 10. We expect the same for season number 11. Make sure you head across to the SRL Discord. If you're watching on the SRL TV YouTube page, it is linked in the video description. If you are watching over there and you haven't already done so, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe as well. If you're watching over on the Twitch page, well, you do have the QR code over here on the screen as well, so you can head over there to check out the SRL Discord. And if you are watching over on Joseph Wright TV on the Twitch, then make sure that you hit the follow button over there as well. We've got 6 live broadcasts coming your way, including tonight, so 5 more across the course of this weekend. It is going to be very, very busy, so hit that follow button over there to watch it all. Now here in SRL TV, we've still got 3 more rounds of season number 10. It is going to be absolutely brilliant. Of course, last week's highlights have been delayed in their release. They should come out by the end of the weekend. But to catch all of the highlights of the season so far, make sure you head across to youtube.com/@JosephWrightTV, and you can watch all of the SRL's TCR League's highlights from when we stepped into the commentary booth halfway through season number 9, all the way through to season number 10 from last week as well. And then this week's highlights will be up before round number 8, and I'm going to guarantee that one. So make sure you check out and subscribe to that YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much for watching here today, though, on SRL TV and Joseph Wright Broadcasting. I hope you have enjoyed watching, and of course, you join us again next Friday for round number 8 of the SRL TCR League season number 10 as we head to Catalonia. But here from Brands Hatch and round number 7, I hope you have a fantastic evening and a fantastic week of racing ahead of you. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.